Find a quiet place to sit down or relax while you listen to the first episode of this guided meditation story. This one, part 1, The Arrival of the Box. It was a quiet evening, the world outside strangely quiet, and the only sound in the apartment was the steady hum of the refrigerator. Jane sat down on the couch, the soft glow of the lamp casting gentle shadows across the room. She had been deep in thought, pondering the stillness of her life. The routine that had begun to feel like an endless loop. Work, sleep, work, sleep. She took a big sigh as she glanced towards the window, where stars were blinking faintly against the blackness of the sky. And then she heard a knock at the door. A little startled, Jane rose and made her way to the door. There hadn't been any expected visitors, no deliveries she was aware of. Yet, as she opened the door, she found a small, unmarked box sitting quietly on her doormat. There was no name, no address, just a simple, plain, wooden box, with no sign of who might have sent it or why. She hesitated for a moment before bending down and picking up the box. The box was light, but surprisingly warm to the touch, as though it had been absorbing sunlight, even though the evening air was cool. She closed the door behind her and carried it to the living room, setting it gently on the coffee table. Jane sat down, staring at it. There was something almost comforting about its presence, a sense of familiarity that she couldn't place. Slowly, she lifted the lid, revealing what was inside. At first, she didn't quite understand. Stored in a soft velvet lining, a small glowing orb, about the size of the palm of her hand. It pulsed faintly, filling the room with a golden light and a subtle warmth. Not just physical, but emotional. As she held the orb, she felt a wave of peace wash over her. All the noise in her mind had quieted. And then it happened. Her thoughts started to drift. She was no longer in her apartment. She was standing in a wide, open field. The air was crisp, the smell of fresh grass, and the sky was a brilliant expanse of blue. The orb was still in her hand, warm and steady, but she was in a place she did not recognize, yet it felt right. The field stretched out before her, and in the distance she saw a path winding between the hills. Instinctively she knew she was meant to follow it. As she walked, the gentle breeze brushed against her skin, and each step she took, she felt a sense of calm grow within her. The worries, the questions, the uncertainties that had weighed her down just drifted away. She didn't need to know why she was here or where she was going. She only needed to follow the path. After what seemed like a long time, time felt irrelevant. In this place, she came to a stop. In front of her stood a tall tree, its branches sprawling in every direction. She could smell the bark, and it looked like it had been there for centuries, roots deep into the earth. Underneath it, a stone bench beckoned her to sit. As soon as she did, She closed her eyes and took a deep breath in. In that moment, she felt the first spark of something she hadn't realized. She had lost connection, not just with the world around her, but with herself. The feeling was subtle, like the beginning of a melody, but it was there, soft and real. And then, when Ella opened her eyes, she was back in her apartment, the box still on the table, the orb resting in her hands. The warmth lingered, and she smiled. There was something more to this box, something it wanted to show her. That brings us to the end of part 1. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.